Hey, what is up everybody? This is Tattoo Bud and welcome to the channel. In today's episode, we are going to talk about a starter kit from the brand Solong. Like I said, this is a starting kit. It has a machine, it has some ink, it has some things you pretty much need whenever you want to start tattooing. So without further ado, let's just unbox this thing, have a look at the machine, test it and all that good stuff. And I will see you down below. So right here in this box we got the machine. We have a little manual, which as usual we probably won't really use. Now let's have a look at this machine. It looks beautiful with the black and red color. As you can see, it is a stroke adjustable machine and it has a cool display on top and a spare battery as well. So you will never really run out of battery. I believe this battery will run for about 4 to 6 hours. You can unscrew it and screw it back on. So if you ever need to charge it, it does come with a Type-C charger, which you can use to charge your battery. And right here you can see the stroke adjustments. It is adjustable from 4.2 all the way down to 2.4, which is very convenient if you are tattooing, and it gives a very versatile machine pretty much. You can adjust the grip to set your needle depth. Now if you hold this button for a couple of seconds, it will turn on the machine. You can see the welcome, you can see the voltage and everything. When you press that button again, it will start to run. Now I do have to say, one thing that is very annoying is this thing beeps every time when you press a button. I don't know who invented this. I would suggest to take that out as quick as possible because I think it's very annoying. But anyways, this machine is adjustable from 4.0 all the way up to 12. Let's unpack some of the needles that came in this kit so we can have a look at them. Now these needles kind of have a unique design. The cartridges are very flat and it's not something you see every single day. They are also a little bit stiff. Some of the cartridges are a little bit more loose whenever you press the pin right there in the back. It does wiggle around a little bit, but it's not that bad. So let's have a look at the 11 round Magnum that also came in this kit. It has the same thing. It is a little bit stiff, or the spring in it is a little bit stiff, but it's not necessarily bad. It does wiggle a little bit more than the liner, but this is also okay because it will give a nice ink flow. Now let's click everything into place and set up. Folds at a 4.2 millimeter stroke to start with. For the rest I'm gonna keep quiet so you can actually hear the machine running. So we are going to increase our voltage just to get a little bit more of a solid line. And you can see the line work here. Unfortunately, I lost some of the footage that I used for the stippling, which is a shame because it actually works very good. But we're gonna do some shading with our Magnum at 5.0 volts, so we increased it a little bit, and we're just gonna do a little bit of whip shading. And like I said, I'm gonna keep quiet so you can just hear the machine running. Now we are going to increase our voltage up to 6.0, so we might get a little bit more of a smoother shade. I'm gonna adjust the stroke a little bit shorter, so we might get a little bit of a softer shade, although that is always very hard to display on practice skin, but I wanted to try it anyways. For the packing, I wanna go to 3.9mm stroke, and we're gonna run the machine still at 6 volts. Let's have a little bit of a closer look at our results and look at how black that is. I am pretty impressed with this machine. So that was the review of the beginner kit from Solong with the stroke adjustable tattoo machine. I do have to say I am really impressed with how this machine actually operates. I love how it packs, I love how it lines. Shading is always a little bit hard to show off on practice skin in my opinion, because it will always look a bit harsher than it is. Also, I just used the needles that were in the package for me, which was all a 12 gauge needle, which will automatically make your shading a little less smooth. If you take a finer needle like a 10 or an 8 gauge, it will also make your shading a lot smoother rather than having a 12 gauge needle. But very fun, very good machine. I do have to say one thing. It looks like that if you power on the machine and you start to run it, that after about 5 seconds, for some reason, it looks like it drops a little bit, or like the noise changes. So I'm gonna see if I can try and show you, but listen very carefully. So it goes on, it's turned on now, it's running. It changed. It also has to do with the screen turning off. And then when I press it, listen very carefully, it increases a bit until I turn it off. So it feels like almost like when it's like saving battery or something, it's turning the display off, that it also takes away a little bit of power from the motor or something like that, because it does change a little bit. Now it's not necessarily a bad thing, because once you keep running the machine, it will stay consistent in that one speed that it actually drops down to, but it is a little bit strange. Another thing I do want to advise you, especially if you are a beginner and you're thinking about buying this kit, since the machine is stroke adjustable, always make sure your stroke is set, because sometimes it will change a little bit when you unwrap your machine or putting your grip back in or whatever. Always make sure it's set on the right stroke. And if you are a beginner, keep it at 1 stroke. I would suggest to use it at a 3.6 or 3.9, depending a little bit on what needles you're using. If you're using a more fine lines or smaller needles, anywhere up to a 7, I would suggest to keep it on the 3.6. If you're using a little bit more bigger needles, so 7 and up, I would recommend to use the 3.9, because it has a little bit more power and a little bit more punch. And then if you are gonna do stippling, for example, use it on 4.2, because you get a nicer punch for the dot work gradient pretty much, or that texture. But don't change the stroke when something is not working out, because this is something that can really set you back, especially when you are a beginner. You start to blame the machine rather than yourself. You think like, oh, I'm not getting this line in, let's increase the voltage, let's increase the stroke length because I need more punch. That's usually not how it works. You can see even with a 3-round liner, I can put the lines in at a 3.9mm stroke, at the 3.6. It actually lines better at the 3.6 with a 3-round liner, in my opinion. So yeah, make sure you fix what's in your ability rather than in the machine. Make sure you stretch good, make sure you keep the right angle, you move at the right speed with your hand. And those are things I have explained in another video as well. So if you want to know more about how to sync your hand speed to your machine, I will link that in the description down below so you can have a look at it. Other than that, I just think this is an amazing machine and it works very good, especially if you're a beginner. It has 2 batteries, which is absolutely amazing if you are doing bigger pieces on your practice skins, or if you're starting to tattoo, you can always have one in the machine and have one charging, or make sure it's fully charged whenever you run out the other one. One more minor thing, the ink is very good. I use it on practice skin. It does work very good. However, wherever I am at, I'm not allowed to use this ink in the studio. And I would also suggest, since it is from China and the ingredients are not readable on the bottle, I would suggest to use this for practice skin only and actually buy your inks at a local supplier, so you always know these are the inks that you're allowed to use in your studio or on human skin. Other than that, I don't think I have a whole lot more to say, other than I wish you all a wonderful day and I will see you in the next video.